Okay, good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun. Tonight we're doing Masechah Eiruvin, Perek Gimel, Mishnayos Gimel and Dalid. Mishnah Dalid talks about a case where of Suffolk. Right? We talked about Iyun ben Sion, Masechah Nazir, Suffolk Daraisa L'Chumra. Is that Daraisa the Rabbanon? Here we're dealing with Tchumen, which is Daraisa, according to most poskim. Right? You're establishing residence. You're only allowed to walk 2,000 amos outside the city limits. If you put an air of Tchumen, right, up to 2,000 amos outside the city limits, you have another 2,000 amos. From wherever that shvis is, you have another 2,000 amos to walk. Of course, you lose 2,000 amos to the other side of the city, but really that's why you put it there, so you're able to walk to one direction further. Now, let's say you put it there before Shabbos and it got burnt. You realized you came there on Shabbos, it was burnt. Can you walk on Shabbos 2,000 amos? Was it burnt before Shabbos? It was burnt before Shabbos. It wasn't there on Shabbos. At the beginning of Ben Hashmashos, right? The critical, like we said in the regular share, is critical Ben Hashmashos, right? When Shkia hits on Friday night, was it around or was it not around? If it's around, so it's Kona Shvi. So even if it got burnt afterwards, it doesn't make a difference. You establish residence at Ben Hashmashos, Shkia at that place. That's your residence for the entire Shabbos. But if it got burnt before Shabbos, then it wasn't an Eruv. So what do? So Meir and Yehuda say, we're machmer, and it's an extra stricture upon this person, because not only can't rely on the Eruv that was there to walk an extra 2,000 amos, past 2,000 amos out of the city. He also has the Chomer, because maybe it wasn't Eruv, and therefore he can't walk anywhere the other direction out of the city limits at all, right? Because we're worried, on the one hand, it might be an Eruv. If it's an Eruv, right, so then I can't walk the other direction at all. And if it's not an Eruv, so then I can't walk the additional 2,000 amos to the side I put it. So I can only walk 2,000 amos to one side. It's more strict than a regular case. Rabbi Yossi, Rishon Omrim, Safek Eruv Kasher. Safek, what happened to it? It's Kasher. We assume that it was there. Why? Because of a Chazaka. The Rajah says Chazaka. Right? He put it there before Shabbos. It was burnt. When was it burnt? So we assume it was burnt at the last possible moment. It was burnt on Shabbos. And at Ben Hashmashos, it was intact. Because of Chazaka. Now what? Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir don't hold up Chazaka. So how do you explain the machlokas Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yossi says Chazaka, and they say don't say Chazaka. So, as I mentioned in the Iyun ben Sion, Tzavik D'Oraisa L'Chumra, I believe, is sometimes Midoraisa L'Chumra and sometimes Midorabanan L'Chumra. It's machlokas Rishonim, but I believe both of them are right in certain instances. Sometimes it's Midoraisa, sometimes it's D'Rabbanan. Over here, right, again, Tzavik D'Oraisa, the Eruv Tchumen is D'Oraisa. According to most posts, you can't travel 1,000 amos midol you don't get skila for it. You don't get ring of charmachatas for it, but it's an isser lav in the Torah. So here also we have a suffix. Now, as I mentioned in Iyun ben Sion, the chumra is midoraisa when there's some status of knowledge. When we have knowledge, right? Like the Rambam says, there's a piece of chayla over here. There's two pieces. One piece is chayla, one piece is not. You don't know which one you ate. We know there's an Israel over here. If there's no knowledge, one piece of meat, we don't know if it's chayla or not. There's nothing to base your knowledge on. So that which goes out there, that's only the Rabbana. The Rabbana were machmir. Because you can't take the Oraisa if we don't know there'd be Israel over here. And I talked about in Iyun ben Sion, kol kavu kamach, like the case in Chulin, where I have 9 stores that sell kosher. One store that sells treif, and I have a piece of meat. I don't know which store I bought it from. So, in a certain sense, kavua makes it, right? Kavua is sort of like ischazik isura, like there's a piece of chaylev there. But on the other hand, it's not, because the piece of meat is in my hand, right? It's not in the store. So the store is where I got it from, and the store is kavua. This one store is definitely treif. It's chazik to be treif. But we're not judging the stores completely. We're judging the piece of meat that's in my hand. I'm already at home. So that's the machlokas the Rishonim had in Maseches Nazir, whether you treat that midoraisa. Is that like his chazik store that you go deraisa l'chom, it's deraisa l'chom midoraisa? Or do we assume no, it's deraisa l'chom midorabanan? And it would turn out that's machlokas about kavua. Kol masadami is sabik deraisa l'chomra. However, is that midoraisa we go l'chomra, midorabanan we go l'chomra? So here also, when it comes to Masechas Eiruvin, Rabbi Yossi says you have chazaka. You have a chazaka that, because here also you have an Eruv, right? You have an Eruv, and the Eruv is burnt now on Shabbos. So you ask me what the Eruv is burnt, right? It's like it's chazik isur, like a piece of meat, one piece of chaylev, right? Hashda now it's burnt. So when you're dealing with it, it's a savigdar shel l'chol midoraisa. You should say chara gamal, like Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, and should be stuck. However, the question is, do we apply the other chazaka over here? Because besides the Ischazik Yisur, you have another chazaka, Hamei Davra Chazkasa. Before Shabbos, it wasn't burned, so we assume it's not burned until the last very possible minute. And now you found Shabbos morning is burned, so we assume it was burned Shabbos morning, not before Shkia. So that's the question over here between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Of course, it's a case. The question is, do you apply the other chazaka over here? The other chazaka of, because there's two types of things. Chazik Yisura means a knowledge. There's knowledge that there's something asur over here, right? You know there's one piece that's chelo over here. And then there's a concept of Hamei Davra Chazkasa. Hamei Davra Chazkasa is we assume we have no, it's an assumption, right? Because it was always in this state, we assume it was in this state until we know better. So that's a different type of chazaka than chazik yisura. Like what's in a person's hand, we assume it's his. It's a stronger proof than actually a chazaka hemei davra chazkasko. So that's the question. The question is, does the weaker chazaka push away the stronger chazaka or weaken it, or does it not? According to Rabbi Yossi, it weakens it at least to make it not as chazik yisura, and therefore sagd raisha l'chumra is only midrabanan. And this is only Derabanan. Rabbi says we're not gozer on a shvus ben hashmashos, so therefore we ignore Derabanan when it comes to Eiruvin Tchumen, and therefore we say that Safek Erev is kosher, and that's how I believe we paskin. Even though maybe it doesn't wipe away, but it weakens it. It's not as chazik yisura. It's something deraisa l'chumra midrabanan, and we're not gozer on shvus ben hashmashos like Rabbi, and therefore we can make Safek Erev is kosher. I hope you enjoyed tonight's share. See you in the next one.